Happy holidays, guys. Ralph Michaels breaking down Duquesne and Nebraska. Now, two teams that you aren't accustomed to hearing in the top 50, 60, or 70 Ken Palm ratings, but both off to a great start. Keith Dambutt has Duquesne playing well. They're 4-1. Their only loss against Princeton, a team about the same caliber as them, maybe a little better. They lost that game 70-67. Fred Hoiberg leads Nebraska. Nebraska, 5 straight wins, 5 straight dominant wins. But there's two scenarios I want to bring up here that's very important to look at in college basketball, especially when we're a few weeks in. First, Nebraska. If you look at Ken Palm ratings, they have played the number 349 schedule. Okay, guys, there's 362 D1 teams, so you know the schedule is bad. The best team they've played was Oregon State, which Ken Palm has at number 174. So now they're taking a big step up in class. Ken Palm has Duquesne ranked number 83. So always look at the step up in class at this point in the season. The second thing I want to look at, you look at Duquesne. Their schedule a little stronger, but still not strong. 265. They've only played one top 50, top 150 opponent, as I mentioned previously, Princeton. But what I want to look at that situation is this is their first true home game. So stats are very magnified when you're at home against weaker foes. But when you step up in class or start making those first road games, that's what we're looking at here. And what dynamic are we going to take? I'm going to take Nebraska here. I like what they did. Listen, Nebraska was one of the fastest paced teams in the country under Hoiberg the first few years, and clearly the fastest paced team in the Big Ten. He looked at what some other teams in the Big Ten did, have some big guys brought in, and he completely made a change last year. He brought in South Alabama assistant head coach Adam Howard, who's a defensive guru. He went and recruited defensive minded players, both young and in the transfer portal, and we've seen quite a transformation. Ken Palm has them at number 47 as far as adjusted efficiency. And if you look at effective field goal percentage this season, Nebraska is number 1 in the country. Both teams fire up a ton of threes. Percentage wise, Duquesne is number 30, Nebraska is number 21. The difference there, 3-point defense for Duquesne, number 245, 3-point defense for Nebraska, number 15 in the country. Matchups, Duquesne's first true road game, Nebraska with a re-innovated sense of defense. Give me the Cornhuskers minus the points for Wednesday. You and your families, I have to wish you guys a very happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Jimmy Adams here, and we are headed to the Bahamas as Texas Tech and Villanova get set to battle it out. So Texas Tech is off to a 3-0 start, but their strength of schedule has been pretty poor. Their best win came against San Jose State to give you some idea of the step in class that they'll be taking here. And even in those lower level matchups, the Red Raiders have been far from an offensive juggernaut. They haven't scored more than 73 and only put up 56 on San Jose State. And there are some real red flags when you look at their analytics offensively. 270th in effective field goal percentage. They're about as bad as it gets from the 3-point line as any team you'll find in the country. And they have a serious turnover problem as well. That being said, we know that Tech is going to bring their defense. They're kind of known for defense. They bring it every year, and this year is no different. They rank 8th in adjusted defensive efficiency, and all the numbers on that side are pretty solid when you run down the metrics. So then we have Villanova, who lost straight up to Penn a few games back and responded by putting up 57 on Maryland at home. And it's not like they don't have good offensive numbers. When you scour their analytics and metrics, they all grade out pretty well. It's the pace of play with Villanova. 343rd in adjusted tempo. This team does not want to get out and run. They want to get into the half court and run their half court offense, just what they do. And they're going to find that they have trouble scoring against one of the nation's top defenses, especially in the half court. Every Tech game has gone under the total this season, and this will be another. Give me the under in Texas Tech Villanova, and have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Hi, Steve Merrill back here with a big game breakdown in college hoops for this Wednesday, early evening, late afternoon, depending where you are. But if you're in the Nassau Bahamas, it's 5 o'clock Eastern to watch this game between Michigan and Memphis. And you can watch it also anywhere on ESPN2 national TV tonight on Wednesday as well. And boy, is it a big game between two head coaches that have some pretty big names on their own. Juwan Howard from Michigan, Penny Hardaway from Memphis, probably the biggest head coaching matchup we'll see all year, maybe in college basketball. But both teams come in here unranked, maybe a little bit weaker than last year. In fact, both of these teams finished top 50 in the Ken Palm rankings last season. But Memphis finished ahead of Michigan in both offense and defensive efficiency. And I think they're the better team here early in this season as well. As we check the Wager Talk Live odds screen on Wednesday morning, we see this line opened around one. And Memphis holding pretty much still as a 1 point favorite. Saw a few 1.5 start to flash. And the total, though, we've seen a substantial move, opened as high as 158.5, now down to 153.5. And that move to the under is a little bit surprising because these are two teams that have been pretty good offensively so far this season. In fact, both teams were playing fast as well. Memphis currently the 20th fastest tempo in the country this year. Michigan about average at 155, 14th most efficient offense. Memphis the 38th most efficient defense. But the big difference in this game, I think, is the Memphis defense, and that's where they have the edge in this one. Another reason maybe we've seen some money come to the under here, even though we have two up-tempo teams, is the fact that it is a neutral site, Imperial Arena in Nassau. Teams often struggle sometimes in that first game in a unique arena. And once again, we have seen a substantial move to the under. So I'm going to stay off the side in the total in this game and rather look at the side. By the way, Michigan's gone over in all four games. They've scored 86 points or more in all four games. That's another reason I was mentioning. A little surprised to see that much money coming on the under. But this is a Michigan team that on the season's only hitting 66% from the free throw line, 67%. Memphis only hitting 66%. So we do have two suspect free throw shooting teams. And in road games this year, Michigan hitting below 61, Memphis hitting just 56% from the charity stripe. So once again, there is some question marks on the shooting side. So let's stay away from that total. Let's look at the side. And I think Memphis is the edge here with the defense. Both teams have been good offensively, scored over 85 per game. But Memphis has been better defensively. They're giving up just 36% shooting from the field, just 31% shooting from 3 point range so far. Contrast that to a Michigan team that's allowing 42% and 37% from beyond the arc. So, in a battle of two high profile, big name head coaches, I think this game goes down to the wire, but Memphis has the better defense down the stretch. We're going to look at this one tonight at 5 Eastern on ESPN2. I would take a look at the Memphis Tigers -1.
A title is on the line tonight as JMU looks to take home the Riviera Division Championship in the Cancun Challenge. And look, all James Madison has done so far is win games and cover spreads. It started on opening night, as I'm sure you'll remember them beating Michigan State on the road, a team that many had going to the Final Four. And I'm not saying they won't. I'm merely pointing out that it was a statement win for a big time program that has continued to win since then. Now 4-1 ATS on the season as well. The Dukes are going to get out and run. This is a team that likes to play fast, so Fresno's transition defense will no doubt be tested. They can shoot the three. They do a good job at taking care of the ball. There's a lot of buy signs on JMU right now, and we've seen the market react as they should. Fresno State had an early loss to Kent State by double digits. That's probably the best team they've played so far this season. And they needed overtime yesterday against New Mexico State just to get here. So we have a major clash of styles as well. JMU, like I mentioned, they're going to push the pace, get out and run. And Fresno would prefer to stay in the half court. Big key here, as I also mentioned in the other game, is Fresno has a serious turnover problem. That is not good against a team that can take advantage in transition. The Bulldogs are also shooting at an unsustainable clip from 3 point range. You see them like in the 40s in these games. They're going to come down. It's not sustainable. And they also can't shoot free throws should this game be close late. So this is just a tough matchup for a Fresno team that has failed the only time they were asked to step up in class in any sort of way. Give me James Madison for today's best.
Let's look at a free college basketball play for this Wednesday, November the 22nd, a game that tips off at 5 o'clock Eastern, early evening action for you. A lot of conference games down in the islands and other locations on neutral courts, but this one's on a regular court, and that's going to be a battle of the military academies, VMI and Air Force. I'm going to let you know the best way to play this one in just a moment. Quick reminder, though, this week and this week only, you get an instant 30% discount on any 7-day all sports all access package on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. No promo code needed. Get that price down to less than $10 a day and get every college football, pro football, college basketball, and NBA pro basketball game for the next 7 days and nights for just $69. Check it out, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. All right, when handicapping college basketball, I always look at tempo, pace of play, and I prefer to take slow down half court teams, especially when they're the better team against a team that wants to play fast. And I think we have that matchup here tonight on Wednesday with Air Force minus the 14 at home against VMI. Now, this is two military academies. My good friend Ralph Michaels will tell you play the under if this was a football game. Wouldn't disagree, but there'll be no option offense from VMI, but there will be some slow down option offense from Air Force. Every year they play at one of the slowest paces in the country, and they have to do so. They don't have a lot of height, obviously. The Air Force Academy has height restrictions. Therefore, they have to play small ball. They have to slow it down, ugly it up, take a lot of threes. And this can be very frustrating for teams that want to play up tempo. And for the past 4 to 5 years, VMI has been one of the fastest teams in the country. Was not necessarily the case last year with new head coach Andrew Wilson, as VMI played a little bit slower last year. And obviously, it did not work. They went just 7-25 straight up in his inaugural season. Well, they're back to playing much faster this year. After 5 games, VMI has the 19th fastest tempo in the country out of over 360 Division I teams. But it's not working any better. They're 1-4 straight up. They're one of the worst offense and defensive efficiency teams in the country. Meanwhile, Air Force off to a solid 4-2 start. They just won all 3 games in their home tournament last week against Lindenwood, my William and Mary tribe, and Nebraska Omaha. And I think they get another win tonight. Huge tempo difference here, and it favors Air Force. So it'll slow it down against a VMI team that wants to play fast. Take a look at the Air Force Falcons minus 14. That's game number 682 on the schedule at 5 o'clock Eastern tonight on Wednesday. And don't forget, if you want my official college and pro football best bets, we have football every day and night, Thursday through Monday this week, college and pro hoops every day and night. Great time to try a 7-day all access for just $69. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Ralph Michaels bringing you his best bet for Wednesday, May 22nd. We're traveling out to Honolulu for a top 10 matchup, Tennessee and Kansas, both off a loss. But I'll tell you what hasn't lost much recently is my college basketball. 8-1 run, 88% the last 9 plays on the season, 17-8, 68%. Get all my college basketball, including 2 plays today for just $69 as part of the annual Wager Talk Thanksgiving $69 7-day all access special. It's on everyone's page, no coupon needed. Kansas and Tennessee, a combined 8-2 on the year, both off their first loss last night. Tennessee lost to my number 1 ranked team, Purdue. They actually impressed me. Kansas off a loss to Marquette. They didn't impress me. They played poorly. So why am I backing the team that didn't impress me against the team that did impress me? Folks, this game is all about matchups. Tennessee's defense has been elite. Number 1 as far as KenPom goes at adjusted efficiency. They make players bring the ball up slow. In fact, if you look, their defensive tempo is number 343. That means only 13 teams allow teams to bring the ball up the court slower than Tennessee. But Kansas, one of the fastest paced teams this year. They're number 17 overall. They're number 34 on offense. And when I look at the Tennessee defense and I look at the Marquette defense, which is an elite defense now under Shaka Smart, although Tennessee is rated higher with KenPom, my eye test tells me that Purdue is the better team here. Kansas struggled with the big men inside against Marquette, so they would have struggled against Purdue, but I don't expect them to struggle against Tennessee. Steve talked about pace. This is a team where the faster paced team, I think, will control the tempo. This is, in my mind, the better team who is amazing. Assists to shots. They pass the ball well. They're a better team. They just had an off night against Marquette shooting horribly. Both teams top 10 off a loss. The Kansas Jayhawks, Rock Hawk Jayhawk, bounce back and get the win. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for watching.